up, Donk Squad? It's your girl here, Donk. I decided to take the M109 out today, and I totally got lost. And now I have my GPS like screaming in my ear while I'm trying to vlog, telling me how to get home. I don't think I can explain to you how difficult it is to vlog while I have a lady with a British accent screaming in my ear, take a U-turn, turn left, take a U-turn, turn now, turn left. Just, I swear, she puts me in the worst mood. So today we continue the relationship series, and we discuss whether you are the toxin in the relationship or how to otherwise recognize if you're in a toxic relationship. We'll also discuss in how ways that we can find remedies to such toxicities, or whether it's just best to call it quits and get the hell out. I truly believe that my male subscribers will benefit from this vlog the most. And the reason for that is because when females are under emotional distress, or they're going through some kind of relationship problems, we're more likely to gather around for lunch or have a sleepover or something like that and talk about our feelings with a tub of ice cream.
Means you're a total booty call. Oh my God, Brittany! Well, you were thinking it. Yeah, well, you said it.
But men, no, that like totally goes against the bro code. Men do not talk about their relationships, and especially their emotions, with their friends. Instead, it's like this unwritten rule to just, I don't know, be a guy and get over it or something. And that if you do talk about having relationship problems, that you're just probably pussy whipped and you need to get over it. Let's talk about the first obvious signs of a toxic relationship. And I want to talk about this because there's such a double standard in society about this, and that is physical and verbal abuse. When we think about physically abusive relationships, naturally what comes to mind is a woman getting beat on. We never think that a man could get beat on because naturally a man is bigger than a woman and should be able to defend himself. But that's a fool. Honestly, that is an absolute fool who thinks that. There are so many men that are getting physically abused by their women, and it could be a slap in the face, it could be a shove, it could be whatever. And if you are getting hit by your woman, you need to get out of that relationship. Think about it. If your mother, your sister, your daughter, your aunt or friend or whoever was getting slapped or hit by a guy, you would be infuriated. You should honestly have the same type of mentality towards yourself and other men getting hit by females. It's not acceptable. Females absolutely have zero right to hit a man. Absolutely none. The next is verbal abuse, and this can happen in all kinds of ways. It can happen in joke telling that has some kind of underlining truth to it in order to deprecate you. Or it can happen easily in an argument, in which all of a sudden the argument is no longer about the original argument anymore, and instead they're calling you outside of your name and telling you what a worthless loser you are. Or, day by day, they could just completely cut you down and brainwash you and make you believe that they are the best thing that is ever going to happen to you and you're never going to get any better. Again, most people think that verbal and physical abuse is extremely obvious and that when you undergo it, you got to get out. But these people have some kind of magnetic, charismatic personality in which makes you stay. Most of the time, these relationships will start out so glorious and on high heaven and oh my gosh, they're the most wonderful person. And then over time, the relationship starts to deteriorate and erode quickly. And now it leaves you in the mental space of holding on to what used to be rather than what is currently is. And that is why it's so important for you to recognize these two extremely abusive and toxic signs in a relationship and get the hell out. These are two things that I truly don't believe that people can overcome in a relationship. Because is that what really love is? Let's think about that. Is that what love is? No, it's not. Let's discuss some more frequent toxic signs that happen in relationships and are not as devastating up front as physical and verbal abuse are, but they happen a lot more often than people realize, and the long-term effects, if it continues to happen, can be just as emotionally traumatic for the next relationship in store. Their first sign is the silent treatment. And I think that we're all guilty of this at some point in time in our lives, honestly. I know I was when I was like 18. But the problem is what happens when we don't grow out of this. The problem is what happens when we decide to use the silent treatment to solve all of our problems in our relationship. It's so toxic because let's say you have an issue with your partner. You bring this issue to your partner's attention and an argument ensues. Instead of you guys talking about the issue at hand in order to find a resolution to the problem, they decide to ignore you. Your partner live together. Either they'll sleep in another bedroom and not talk to you for days, or let's say you guys don't live together. They'll stop taking your phone calls, they won't visit you, they won't return your text messages. This causes you to worry. This causes you to have great anxiety, wondering if they're going to break up with you. And then it leaves you to feel like you wish you just never brought up the problem at all. That if you never brought up the problem, there would be no argument and they would still be talking to you. And eventually over time, somebody gives in. Somebody passively makes a nice gesture in order to find a common ground between you two. And now you're just so happy that they're talking to you that you forget about the problem altogether. Long term, this is toxic because whatever that problem was is still there. And you guys never talked about it, never found a resolution to it, and it's going to rear its ugly head again. Moreover, the silent treatment is an extremely powerful, manipulative tool. It's a great way for them to make you feel guilty about your own feelings, to make you feel like you just wish that you never said anything at all, and to take any control that you have in that relationship, to take your voice, to take your opinion. It literally takes it away from you. The silent treatment is horrible for a relationship. It's incredibly toxic, and if you're doing that to your partner, or if your partner's doing that to you, you have to ultimately sit down and talk about how to alter that behavior. Because long term, it can ruin marriages and relationships, because those problems that you guys ignored by never discussing, it's still there. The very toxic sign is deflection. So let's say you have a problem and you go to your partner about it. They in turn basically say that because of you and the way that you act is causing their behavior to happen, therefore making you feel bad, not taking any responsibility for their actions and how they make you feel at all, not willing to meet a compromise, not willing to hear your concerns, instead just always turning the tables on you. The people who cannot say sorry, this is so big. If you're with somebody who just refuses to apologize and you always have to be the one apologizing and saying, hey, look, I didn't mean to, pride can kill a relationship quickly. Again, deflection is extremely powerful and very, very toxic. Be with somebody who's willing to compromise with you, somebody who's willing to apologize when they've hurt your feelings or done you wrong. 3, that's the control factor. This is something that usually starts out very, very subtle in the beginning. And you might not even notice it because you guys are so high in life being together, they're just like, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. But eventually what happens is, let's say in the beginning they say, hey, baby, could you not like play Xbox tonight and spend time with me? Sure, yeah, no problem. And then next thing you know, that becomes progressive and more frequent. Stop playing Xbox. Stop hanging out with your friends. I don't like your friends. I don't like your car. I don't like that you have motorcycle hobbies anymore. I don't like that you're into these kind of sports. I don't like this. I don't like that. Whatever it is that you're into, they want you to ultimately stop doing it. This can also relate to family vacations. Oh, you spend so much time with your family, you never spend any time with me. Why don't you spend time with me? Next thing you know, they're starting to take you away from your family. They're starting to cut off your friends. Spending time with your partner is healthy, but we all have that need for our own individual space and free time. And so if you allow your partner to completely control and infringe upon everything that you love to do, and especially all of your hobbies and the things that you like to do before you got with them, next thing you know, everything is going to be about them, and your world gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And this is a great way for them to be able to cut you off from everything that you love and know and that you're happy with doing, in which now all of a sudden they become your entire world and you can no longer see who you used to be or what you're into. This is the quickest way for you to lose your autonomy. So I implore you to find that healthy balance with your partner. If you find that they're being a little bit too controlling, address it with them healthily. And if they care, they'll back off. And honestly, if you guys are both secure in the relationship, there shouldn't be a problem with that. There shouldn't be a problem with free time, and they shouldn't be trying to take away your friends or your hobbies that you had before they came along. 4, and this is just as dangerous and just as damaging, if not more damaging, than the silent treatment. And that is threatening your partner to leave every single time an argument ensues. This is so unfair for several reasons. But ultimately, if your partner is threatening to leave you every time there's an argument, it's emotionally exhausting. Nobody can even keep up with that. And ultimately, it's cultivating an environment in which you feel like you can't talk to your partner, because if you do, and you say something that's going to upset them, they're going to end the relationship. They're ultimately holding you hostage. They're always holding the relationship hostage, and that is not healthy. It's a control, manipulative power move. It's a way to control you, and it's horrible. And if your partner is doing this to you on an everyday basis, you need to either A, confront them with the issue and tell them that what they're doing is damaging the relationship, or B, you just need to get out altogether. Threatening to leave, packing your bags, and holding the relationship hostage leads me into my next point, and that is emotional extortion. Emotional extortion happens a lot in toxic relationships because, again, it's another way to control, manipulate your partner. And that is ultimately when your partner says, I'm going to kill myself if you leave me. My life will be ruined if you leave me. I will never be able to go on. I won't be the same. And ultimately, they guilt you into staying with them. Even when you know you want to get out of the relationship, they ultimately tell you that you can't leave or else they'll be ruined and it will be your fault. Ultimately is not fair because you know you want to get out of the relationship, but at this point, they're saying that they're going to kill themselves, and nobody wants to have that kind of burden on their shoulders. Nobody wants to be responsible for somebody else's demise. But I'm here to tell you that 9 times out of 10, this proves to be an empty threat. It's not real. They're not going to hurt themselves. And what I would suggest for you to do is to actually help them get help so you can get out of the relationship. They're threatening to kill themselves over you and over the relationship ending. They have no business being in a relationship at all. They need professional help.
And see if there's some help out there. Some professional help. You need professional help. Hang on. Okay. Dr. Phil! Oprah, somebody help me!
What to do when you realize that you're in a toxic relationship? Well, you have a few choices. You can either get out of the relationship altogether, cut them off, and start the stages of closure. Or you can seek therapy, go to a relationship counselor, marriage counselor, try to work out your differences that way. Or you could sit down and talk to them yourself. And remember that giving feedback along with receiving feedback is a skill, and it's a skill that constantly needs practice. So when you decide to sit down and talk to your partner about some of these issues that's going on, don't go at them with the you did this and you. Try to avoid an accusatory tone. Just talk to them from the heart. Talk to them with respect. And if they're willing to listen to what you have to say and change their behaviors, then that's a person who cares. Keep them around. They care. But if they're not willing to hear anything you got to say and they just want to fight and they want to continue with the behaviors, it's probably time to leave. If you do decide to get out of your toxic relationship, realize that you are at your most vulnerable time right now. And so you are more likely to be duped and victimized by somebody else bringing you false promises. Right now you're looking for love, comfort, and reassurance that everything is going to be okay. And you can easily find that through friends and family. So I implore you to stay out of the rebound zone. Any of your friends that are advising you to
Get out there and get some strange ass.
you need not to listen to them. The next vlog of this series will be about how to strengthen or revive a relationship utilizing the 5 love languages. So until I see you next time, Donk is out.